Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming back. My name is Joanna and my passion is to help you get you through and past your limitations. These are going to be your messages for September. For those of you who are a regular for my channel, you'll notice I did not upload any August videos, hence why these videos are quite a bit longer. There was a lot of information that I channeled through. So if you can't watch it all at once, maybe break it into pieces. If you need to just get moving into the videos, I'll put a stamp down below so that you don't have to listen to the record to this part. But I want to say a few things. First and foremost, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being part of my channel. Thank you for being part of my journey. Thank you for always inspiring me and encouraging me to be the best at what I do. And you'll notice my work is changing. It has been changing for a while, but it's more apparent than any time before that the way I work is shifting and changing. So consequently, over the next few months, you will notice that the way my videos are coming out are a little bit different, or the way the messages are coming out in my videos are a little bit different. There seems to be a greater emphasis on healing, so there will be some energetic healing that will come through. I will talk about that more a little bit later on a different video, but more than anything, there seems to be a bit of a shift in terms of how I receive messages and also what types of messages want to come through me. So if you have watched my videos for a while, you may see a bit of a change. I feel to me, it's incredible. The change is always good. Change is not always easy. But nonetheless, I feel the way things are going to progress going forward is the messages will be maybe even much more meaningful, even though I find that they're meaningful anyways, and many of you find my messages meaningful. I feel it's going to be even more meaningful. There's going to be a lot more that I will be channeling through to you. Speaking of channeling, I have noticed more and more that I am beginning to use less and less visuals, as in cards, and much more channeling. So you will notice in some of the videos that I have cards, but I barely talk about the cards. I show them here and there, but most of the messages are channeled. I feel that's eventually how my messages will come through. They will probably be mostly channeled with maybe some visuals, some tools, but long time ago Spirit told me that eventually my work is going to consist of channeling information and not really reading cards. So you'll see that coming through more and more as time goes on. And is there anything else I wanted to say? Yes, the 6-month messages, which are on Vimeo from July until the end of this year, there's a link down there below for you. And more than anything, if this doesn't make sense to you because it is general, then listen to it down the road, or even end of September or even October. I often mention that these messages flow way beyond a certain month, so I wouldn't be surprised if the messages you hear in September cover September, October, and November, even towards the end of the year. So keep that in mind. Also, some messages may not make sense to you at all because they are general, and I can only cover so many scenarios in a general situation. With that said, if anything resonates with you, or if you feel pulled towards having more of a personal session with me, that information is down below, and I trust you know how to find me. And again, I want to thank you for being part of my channel. Without you, I wouldn't do this. My gratitude goes out to you, and I love hearing your comments. I love reading your comments, and yeah, I hope you enjoy these videos and all the other videos that follow. And with that said, let's move on into each individual sign. Hello, beautiful Capricorns. These are going to be your messages for the next little while. So from whenever you hear it until about the end of September or thereabouts, maybe a little bit further down towards October. Of course, if this is making no sense to you at the very beginning, listen to it a few weeks from now and see if it makes sense to you. You tell me all the time that you listen to it again down the road and it makes perfect sense, whereas at the very beginning it makes no sense to you. So but chances are there will be a high percentage of you that this will make sense to whenever you do end up listening to it. Also, I can't bind, and the energy can't be bound in a box of time. So this may be relevant to you now. This may have been relevant to you in August. I am recording this in August. And this may be relevant to you in October, November, December. This may be relevant to you even, earlier in the year. So wherever you are in your life, on some level, this either will make sense to you right now, right away, or it'll make sense to you later. Here's what I hear. Any objections you have about yourself right now, just stop it. What does that mean? If you object something, you're never going to have it. And I'm going, okay, where are we going with this? And some of you have this fictitious belief that whatever you're after doesn't exist. So if you are one of those people that vows to themselves, true love doesn't exist, or true happiness doesn't exist, or true happiness doesn't exist for me, or abundance is not for me, or if you have any objections like that, but you want something more out of your life, then it's really important to start recognizing what you feed yourself in terms of your thoughts and the communication you have, or the dialogue you have with yourself. When I was tuning into Capricorn energy, the word that came through for you was the word of entrapment. And that's not because you're going to feel entrapped. Quite the opposite. It is because whatever you have been entrapped in, or whatever causes entrapment for you, or has been causing entrapment, including belief systems, those are likely the things or the key elements to be ironed out of your life. So if it's a wrinkle in your fabric, chances are over the next few weeks and few months, you will be able to iron some of that wrinkle out. And essentially, what it means is you're going to take a look at your belief system, and you're going to realize that at the very depth of who you are, you either don't believe the very thing you want, or the very thing you have in front of you don't believe is, or believe is too good to be true, in which case you're either not going to get what you want, or when you have it, you're going to sabotage it. So this is kind of interesting, because I feel like I've talked about this before. I mean, we humans are really good at sabotaging ourselves all the time. But this is coming up for you. And I know for some of you Capricorns, you've been having a really hard time over the last little while. I actually saw an image of you in a prison. No, it does not mean that this is going to be how you're going to feel. But it gave me an indication that this is what you are more likely to deal with over the next little while. So lo and behold, when I did put out some cards and I asked, what is the theme? Look what came up. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. It's just too unbelievable. So the Eight of Swords came up. In this case, this is called trapped in fear. And, you can see the, whatever you call it, to me, it looks like a prison. So the image I had of you and the card came together as one and the same. So this is always a huge indication to me that I am right on track. The theme connected to this Eight of Swords is soul retrieval in reverse. So what is a soul retrieval? Soul retrieval basically means we no longer are separated. We are now a fully integrated being. So so we feel we're much more whole. In this position, in the reverse position, this is a very clear message about having compromised something of yourself in order to be loved, to be happy, to be safe, to belong, to be in control, whatever it is. There's an element here of having done something in the past that was contradictory to what you wanted, but you didn't feel there was any other way, so you went ahead and did it anyway, and at the end of the day you didn't get what you wanted anyway. So I'm trying to logically look at this message, and what comes to me is, the words I want to say is, stop lying to yourself. So that's a pretty strong statement. And I'm obviously not saying you are lying to yourself, but if you have been in self-denial, if you have been trying not to see certain things, or if you have been over-compromising in order to, chances are you've come to a place where you literally feel like you are stuck, like you are trapped. So the messages for September are not about you getting trapped. The message of September are about you releasing yourself from whatever entrapment you feel you are in, whether it is a situation, whether it's patterns of thoughts and beliefs, whether it's a whole bunch of other things. There is an indication here that you are choosing to go forward differently than you have done in the past. So if you have in the past, if you've made decisions, and the decisions were heavily the decisions were heavily you were heavily over compromising, chances are whatever that was, it didn't give you what you needed anyway, and you're choosing to put stop to that. I'm having a bit of a hard time trying to get it out, so let me just see if I can clear my channel, so to speak. Even though I feel some of you are getting this, I just kind of don't feel very aligned. Okay, I know why I feel that. I was just told. Because this is what many of you feel right now as you're hearing it. You feel sort of, maybe not necessarily all over the place, but it's like something is missing. Like you haven't clicked in yet. That's a good way of saying it. It's like something is missing. Now, if you feel like this, then something would definitely be missing in your life. There's no question about it. So this is the theme. This is about you looking at what makes you feel trapped, what sort of thoughts and patterns make you feel trapped, and looking at things differently. Okay, I'm going to leave that for now, and then let's see if it unfolds any different, if it unfolds better. Okay. What are you leaving behind? The King of Cups came up in reverse, the Eight of Cups came up in reverse, and the Sun came up in reverse. Okay? So for those of you who read cards, that are tarot readers, you may have your own interpretation. You're welcome to do this. I am going to say what is speaking to me. So the King of Cups to me, more than anything, is an aspect of you. And this is what you are leaving behind. If you have been feeling emotionally not in control, if you have been feeling like someone else has been in control of you, if you have been feeling like you have no control, but this is emotional, this is not feeling emotionally in control. If you have been feeling lack emotionally on any level, also, if you are someone who is used to holding back emotionally in order to get what you want, chances are you're leaving this aspect behind. Now, for others of you, you are leaving a person that could be indicated like a King of Cups. So it could be male or female, it doesn't make a difference. But someone who would fit that bill, so to speak, you're leaving this person behind. This could be a boss, this could be a romantic partner, this could be a partner of a business partner, someone who is emotionally not very stable. You are leaving that behind, but this is also an aspect of you. Any kind of emotional instability, there's a lot of it that you are leaving behind over the next little while. Now, the Eight of Cups to me is resistance to change. That's how I hear it. If you have been resisting change, if you have been fighting with change, again, that resistance is going to be less and less. So whatever you are resisting or whatever you have been resisting, I feel you are letting that go. There seems to be more feeling of peace coming in your way. And I don't know about you, but peace is always something that I will welcome with open arms. The Sun is, to me, lack of clarity. Remember, this is what you're leaving behind. So you're leaving the old behind, you're leaving emotional insecurity behind, you're feeling lack of emotional security behind, you're leaving anything that has been not working and you've been stagnating with it, anything that has not clouded your world, but any situation that is fundamentally emotionally unbalanced or unstable, you're leaving it behind, including lack of clarity. So if you've been feeling no, that's not blah, let's call it blah. If you've been feeling blah, if you have been feeling lack of clarity, if you have been feeling like the sun hasn't been shining for you for a while and it's only been rain, I feel that period is about to end in your life. And I don't know about you, but I want to say yes. Dream time and awakening is an indication that you are in fact awakening. You are awakening to what your deeper truth is. And with that comes the realization that some things that you thought were important were actually no longer as important as you thought. That's one message. Another message is you are choosing to no longer blame yourself for things that have gone wrong. So this is going to be a message for some of you. It's not connected to this card. I'm just getting information here. If you are one of those people that blames themselves or has blamed themselves a lot, you are leaving that behind. On the other hand, if you are someone who has blamed other people for your misfortunes, and I don't think that's going to be many of you, you're also leaving that behind. There's a certain density that you are shaking off from yourself, and by density I mean low vibrating emotions, low vibrating beliefs, low vibrating thoughts, and you are shaking yourself off in order to either start something new, start a brand new journey, or have a new beginning in wherever you are now, but under different conditions. And I realize that I feel like I'm talking riddles here in riddles, but I have a feeling this is going to make sense to you when you apply it to your specific situation. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Ace of Coins in reverse, and the Empress in the reverse, to me, are all indicators of having felt stuckness in a certain area, having felt stuck in a certain area. So let me just see if I can go card by card and if there is a specific message with each card. So the Wheel of Fortune, number 10, indicates an end of a cycle, right? It comes out in a position of reversal because for some of you, it is perhaps an ending of a cycle in a way that if you had it your way, maybe you would have had it different. But there's something here leaving you, okay? There's something leaving you. No, this does not mean that anything bad is happening or that somebody you love is leaving you or something, you get fired from your job. I don't get that. This is more about a long-standing situation, a long-standing feeling you've had, a long-standing belief you've had, mostly about security. It's always about security. And I feel like you're approaching a time where you are going to close that door to whatever those insecurities are for you. The Ace of Coins to me signifies lack of stability. It is earth indicator. So to me, it's either financial or in relationships. And I feel for many of you, this is stability in yourself, which also translates to stability in relationships. And I feel some of you haven't felt stable in relationships or in a job for a long time. And stability is what we all need. And whatever the instability has been, and I feel this is the ending. This is what you're closing doors on. The Empress to me, even though she is in reverse, she still is very symbolically a message of growth. So any sort of stagnation that you have been feeling for the last little while, in whatever area of your life, I feel that you are again, it's almost like I want to say you are reclaiming yourself once again. Why do I want to say once again? It implies you've done this before, which means this is not the first time you're facing this. So whatever this is for you, you faced it before. It's not the first time you're doing this. And I feel for some of you, it requires you to do calculating moves, not calculating in terms of you're trying to be deceitful, but calculating in terms of making sure that your thoughts are well thought out and your plans are well thought out. They're not hasty decisions as much as you can help it. So that is what I get here for majority of you. The Authority in reverse, which is the Emperor, is indicating to me that you have not felt in control for a while, whether you have not felt in control of a situation or you have not felt in control in your life. There is an indication here that this is how you have been feeling. This is not an indication of where you're going. I have a feeling this is what's coming up for you over the next few months, but you first have to face it. Whatever this is for you, you have to face it. Freedom at the end of the day is what you are seeking, whether it's freedom financially, whether it's freedom emotionally, whether it's freedom mentally, whether it's freedom physically, whether it's freedom spiritually. I might have said that. Freedom is ultimately, I think, what we all want. But freedom isn't necessarily something that anyone can give you. Freedom is something that is felt. So whatever is preventing you from feeling free, from being free, from attaining that feeling of freedom, I have a feeling this is what you are responsibly working towards so that you can get this whenever it's going to come to you. And let me just see if I can tune into this freedom. For some of you, this is freedom of thoughts where the constant worry and the constant what if is not as much there. So there's a lot more peace inside of your mind. Generally, the way we think doesn't change overnight unless it's predicated by, is that the right word? By some pretty strong conditions or situations. That's not going to happen for most of you. So generally our thoughts and our thinking don't change overnight. It's usually an effort that we have to apply in order to change our thinking. But there is an indication here that you are moving much more towards that direction. So there is an effort being applied on your part in order to remove yourself from your old conditioning, and as a result of that, remove yourself from some old conditions. So remove yourself from conditioning, your beliefs, which then shifts your world, which will allow you to remove yourself from certain conditions that are making you feel perhaps a lack of freedom. I feel there's more information that I want to say, but I don't have a clear indication as to what it is. So let me just tune in, because I have gone through all the cards except one, and I want to leave that for the end. And I want to see what, okay, so what I'm seeing in front of me is a stop sign. Stop sign to me always represents stop before proceeding forward, okay? If you are in the midst of making a choice, or if you are in the process of making a decision, it is very important that you make that choice or that decision from a well-informed place. In other words, and this isn't a decision about what coffee do I buy tomorrow. This is generally a weightier decision. Job, relationship, status move or status change, anything of that sort. Now, any hastiness, obviously, would be any hastiness or any decisions that are made too hastily may give you a different result or a different outcome than you're anticipating. So it goes without saying that if there's anything that you are looking at doing that is important, that signifies a choice or decision, particularly one that will change something, it is best that choice or decision is made from a stable place, from a solid place, let's put it that way. Which means if you are making choice or decision from this space, chances are, it's not coming from a peaceful place. I mean, this person doesn't look very peaceful. This person probably looks like someone who's desperate. So please make sure you try your best not to make any choices or any decisions out of desperation. Now, this is not going to be a message for many of you. This is going to be a message for some of you. And I don't know exactly what it is that I'm connecting to, but I'm connecting to someone's who may feel the pressure to decide something now. And there is a sense of desperation. So if this is you, if this happens to be you over the next little while, really make sure you stop and think about exactly what you want and what you're doing and if it's aligned. Okay. Now, why would this be so important? Obvious reason is if you are doing something out of desperation, chances are, you're going to compromise perhaps your integrity in order to get something because you're desperate. Sometimes we have to do that, but I don't feel this is going to be many of you. I think this is for some of you that are perhaps sometimes too hasty in making certain choices and decisions in order to get something. And I want to say this is not a time of reliving your past mistakes, right? Because as long as you're learning from your life, then there's no such thing as mistakes. If you keep on repeating the same thing over and over again and you're not learning, then that you may call that a mistake. But mistake is just an opportunity to gain wisdom. So I'm going to leave it at that for some of you. There's a message here of making sure you're not too hasty in some sort of choice or decision. Again, this is not about buying coffee tomorrow. This is about something bigger. Okay? So that's one message. Actually, no, I'll keep going with the same message. There is financials connected. So it is really important that you make your decision from a well-rounded place. And for some of you, this is career connected. So example comes if you are out of a job or if you are looking for a job. If you can help it, try not making your decision from a place of desperation. So you either need something really bad or you're trying to get away from something really, really bad. Generally, these choices don't work out very well in the long run because we need to first deal with whatever is causing us discomfort so that we don't repeat the same pattern again. Remember, this time for you over the next little while is about retrieving your soul retrieval. It's no longer about over-compromising or compromising your integrity. Think of that. Think what that means to you. What does it mean to you when I say compromising your integrity? And notice if you have compromised your integrity in the past, where, and if situation like that has occurred again, how would you handle it differently? Because I have a feeling it's going to come up for some of you. I have no idea what I'm connecting to specifically, but I feel it's going to come for some of you. It's going to come about for some of you over the next 2 to 3 months. So let's say between now and the end of the year, there's going to be some choice or decision that you will be making, and it's important that you don't make it out of desperation, okay? Now, for obvious reasons, I will state this. If you are in a financial situation and you need a job, well, sometimes you need to get what you can get at the moment just to tie you over so that the next job that's better will present itself to you. And if that's the case, if you need to compromise, at least be honest with yourself that you're compromising for a moment. Don't try to sell yourself a whole bunch of goods when you know it isn't. Take the situation for what it is. Accept it that it may not be the best situation, but at least know that it's going to tie you over to whatever the next thing is, but this is not your final destination. This is really about you staying true to you. So this could be a relationship. Obviously, I would never, ever, ever advise anyone to get into a relationship out of desperation. I think there's no need to say that, but I think it's, a valid point of view that, worth mentioning. So anything that is made out of desperation, or anything that is you compromising your integrity, that's being highlighted for you over the next little while, okay? And it could be in any situation. The Hawk card is what I wanted to leave as being the last card. So this is air element. This is about your thoughts. Hawk is, it's a predator, but it's also a messenger. For some of you, there is a message that's coming for some of you that's going to give you some level of freedom, whether it's a message of financial abundance, whether it's a message of something new, a new opportunity. For some of you, interestingly enough, the message is about pregnancy, but it's not just physical pregnancy per se. It's also about birthing something new. So this is, and I realize that stork is usually the one that carries babies, but that is the message that I'm getting from this particular hawk, okay? Another message here is, hawk is, it's his eyes or her eyes, its eyes are very sharp. It knows its destination, and it doesn't compromise. It doesn't veer off. It doesn't look at its destination and halfway through it stops. Let me rethink. Maybe that wasn't such a bad idea. You get the picture. There is focus here with hawk, knowing what you want and going after it, going for it. So again, if you have done things in the past and you have compromised your integrity, your happiness, maybe even your well-being on some level, this is one of those times where you'll be reclaiming yourself by looking at your past, assessing your past, draw wisdom, and then whatever happens, whatever transpires over the next few months, you will apply that wisdom and you will deal with something very differently. I know I'm talking in riddles. I realize that, but I know there's a message for some of you, and I know those of you who are meant to get it, you will get it. I've learned to trust this, even though it's really uncomfortable for me sometimes, because I want to know what that thing is, but I'm not supposed to know. I'm purely the messenger, okay? There's one more card that I actually forgot about, and I was made aware of that, which is the card of Scorpio. Okay, there's a lot of heat with this card. To me, this is about, ironically, holding on to your past. Scorpio is a sign of holding on to anger or holding on to grudge, and as a result, biting when someone approaches you. So if you have a tendency towards defensiveness. And I'm not accusing you of being defensive. We all have it. But if there's a tendency there, if you've been feeling defensive, particularly lately, notice where this is coming from. Chances are there is some heat-related, unresolved stuff from the past that you are still holding on to. And as long as you're still holding on to whatever this is, you can never truly reclaim your freedom, because anger, resentment, any sort of things like that we hold on to for too long stands in a way of feeling this freedom. Okay, 7 and 3 incidentally is the number 10. Well, we already have the number 10 as in Wheel of Fortune. So there's a representation here of having come to an end of a cycle. Okay, and that comes through a change. The number 5 is being shown to me, which is indicative of change. 5 may also be a number for some of you that's important. The number 5 may be important. So when are you? You're December, January, so that's definitely not for you. But there's a number 5. Number 5, either May or number 5 is important to some of you. It's going to be few of you. All right. This is really all about you reclaiming your power, and I know that's a big statement, but here it is. So, what is it that I want to leave you before we part ways? What is it that I'm hearing, please? Understand that your happiness is in your control. Happiness ultimately comes from you. It doesn't come from something outside of you. If you are looking for happiness somewhere over there, chances are it's going to be very difficult for you to attract it. Happiness always comes from within. We all know that. You don't need to hear me say that again, but for some reason, it's worth mentioning. So, I think I'm going to leave that. I think for some of you, you're meant to hear it. Even though I know you know that, we all ultimately know that happiness comes from within. For some reason, I feel like it's just a gentle reminder, all right? Also, and it's difficult for me to say it because there's a logical part of me that goes, no one can truly make you unhappy. And my logical part of me goes, I'm not sure about that. But at the end of the day, it makes sense to me. It's unhappiness is an emotion that comes from me, that I create. Yes, circumstances contribute to my unhappiness, but ultimately unhappiness comes from me. And there's a distinction that's being made. And what I'm hearing here is that sometimes we can be happy and not get everything that we want. But whatever we do have can sustain us. I feel like this is a message for some of you to perhaps find some peace with where you are. Not saying that there's no room for improvement, but if you find peace with where you're at, it's a lot easier to manifest something different. If you are fighting with where you're at, you are not in acceptance of what is. And when you are not in acceptance of what is, you are in this perpetual inner war that's happening. And that inner war creates conflict. Inner conflict does not give you freedom. So there's a message for some of you with that. Okay, I'm not going to try to go into over explanation because I feel you're meant to hear it in a certain way, and it's going to hit you a certain way as well without me putting words in your mouth, so to speak. Okay. And again, I want to stress, this does not mean you can't have more. It doesn't mean you can't have better. It doesn't mean you shouldn't strive for more or for better. But if you are coming from a place right now where things perhaps aren't perfect and you are in constant fight with it, then the very fact that you are fighting what is is not going to help you move towards more of what you want. There needs to be a certain level of acceptance. So either acceptance with where you're at for now, for today, tomorrow might be different, but acceptance of a certain situation, that it is the way it is for now until it's different. Whatever it is that you're struggling with or you're fighting with, that's not perhaps the way you want, you can never truly move on into something different unless you accept it for what it is, okay? And I'm not going to overstate this because I feel like I've said all that I could say on this, and I feel like this is where I'm supposed to end. So, pretty interesting read. There's a lot of emotional reconstruction going on. It's like a machine wash. But you're not the only sign that I feel this with. It's actually, as a matter of fact, it's every single sign. We're going through what I would call is a laundry effect. We are being cleansed. We are clearing stuff out. We are cleansing. We are detoxifying. We are detoxing. Jobs, relationships, people, commitments, situations, anything that isn't ultimately serving the higher purpose or our well-being. That doesn't mean that you can't compromise. Doesn't mean that. There's always room for compromise. When you over-compromise, that's when it becomes the problem. And I feel also those of you who have been doing things for others while neglecting yourself in the process, I also feel you're coming to a point where you're beginning to realize that doing things the same old way is no longer useful to you, is no longer working for you. And as a result, you're choosing to do things differently. And that's the whole soul retrieval. That's about realizing certain things and coming to a certain understanding, and as a result of understanding, changing your actions, shifting your perspective, shifting your thought patterns. Ultimately, the theme here is for you to move past this state. 8 of Swords, entrapment. Whatever has been entrapping you, beliefs, people, situations. You may be in a situation where you cannot change it, but you may come to a place where you accept it for what it is, and through you accepting it, you release yourself from the prison. Okay? Is there any other way that I can want to say this? No, I think I've said enough on that. Okay? And the symbol I get for you is a beautiful flower. I don't know what flower it is, but it is indicating to me that I'm feeling it in the spring. So spring to me is indication of new beginnings. So there are several messages here. For some of you, the new beginning is indicated in spring of next year, 2020. For others of you, the spring is a metaphor for giving new birth, for birthing into life, for things birthing into life, for newness, new awareness. But this is not just awareness. This is manifested awareness. This is new situation. So whatever your quest to freedom is, whatever freedom means to you, chances are many of you will be heading towards it and are currently heading towards it in some way, shape, or form. And with that, I want to say best of luck, however this applies to you. Remember that if it doesn't make sense to you at the beginning, don't worry about it. Listen to it down the road. And if it still doesn't make sense to you, then it is not for you, which is totally fine. On the other hand, if it does make sense to you and you wish to comment, I would love to read it. I read every single one. I don't always respond to all of them. It's simply impossible. But I read every single one, absolutely every single one. I thank you for that. So with that said, I wish you best of luck. Please take care of yourself. Please be true to you. And always remember, freedom is a state of mind as much as it is a set of circumstances. And often your frame of mind in terms of how free you feel inside will dictate how free you feel in your world. Okay, and with that said, I want to thank you for, of course, for private session. That information is down below. Thank you again so much. I wish you best of luck and see you soon.